Hey guys, Jason here for Chart Guys, taking a look at some tanker names. These are names that are seeing a lot of movement with respect to oil. And the issue that we have, and the reason my friend Dan asked me to look at these tickers and do some videos on them, is that when we have tickers that are driven primarily by hype and a lack of trend, we can get into situations where we have new traders coming in, don't really have an idea of what they're doing. They're just wanting to get into the action. They're seeing a lot of potential and they want to make some money, as we all do in the markets. But given these context of the situation and the breakouts and some of the accelerated moves that we're seeing on tickers, you can get into a bind, and having people rushing into the market without an idea what they're doing can get a little dangerous. So at Chart Guys, we try to use technical analysis to protect our capital, make plans, and understand the context of the situation. So in order to do that, I'm going to go through a bunch of time frames. I'm going to start with TK because TK Corporation, well, it was the first ticker on my list. That's really why we're starting with it. So I'm always going to look at the weekly time frame, and I'm going to try and get an idea of what's happening here. We had a relatively short-term weekly uptrend, and if we go back, we can see that TK has had a pretty substantial downturn since 2014. So are we going to expect a straight shot back up to those 2014 levels? No, we're not going to. We're going to focus on the very, very short term, but we have a context of an overall long-term downtrend that we'll worry about if we get there. But right now we got a couple of key resistances. I see 563 on the weekly time frame as being resistance, and we got a pretty sound rejection from the high of the January 21st candlestick, which was sitting at 488, and in fact today, or I should say this week's candlestick high, is at 488. So we've got a confirmed resistance level right there that is going to be considered a double top on the weekly time frame. And because we hit it once this week, we're going to look for that as a major resistance and a major obstacle for the price action bulls, those who want the price to go up, to get over top if we get back up there. But we've got 1 day left, and this is a pretty bearish candlestick given this big upper wick showing that there is a lot of pressure pushing the price down. So that's what we need to focus on. Now, what we're going to do is go to the daily time frame and get some context for that weekly candlestick. And here's our weekly trend. Our daily trend, we can see that we are in a strong daily uptrend. And now, given the hype and the reaction that we've seen to oil, which has influenced the price action in these tankers, we see that big spike to the upside. Now, where's that 488 level? Let's go back to the weekly, mark that in. And the reason that we're not seeing it over there is because it's not showing up on the daily chart. But we'll fix that right now. There is that resistance level, 488, strong pullback. Now, the question is, what's happening inside this candlestick setup? There's 1, 2 big red candlesticks, 1 indecisive candlestick on the daily time frame, so showing a little bit of imbalance in the market. We're in an overall uptrend. We have some support established at the low of 340 or 374, and we can maybe look for speculatively a little bit of support to come in at 339. This is a former resistance level. We can see that we hit that level again, finally got over top of it, and bulls were able to move to the upside. So possible support at 339, 374. Now what's going on here? That's what I'm interested in right now. I go to the 4-hour time frame. I can see an overall tightening range. We had a pre-market high at 490 or 494, which is over that key 48 level. We came back down. We set a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, and now we are trying to set a higher low. So it's tempting to call this an equilibrium, and what we really have to do in order to make that happen is to imagine that there's another low right there. You can make an argument in both cases. Really what I'm interested in is this tightening range, this feeling that we are compressing, and I want to see if there's going to be any bullish follow through and what that might look like. So on the important side of things, on the 4-hour time frame, we need to be paying attention to these higher lows if we're looking for upside potential. We have 4-hour support at 374. We also have 4-hour support at 381. As long as bulls can keep maintaining these higher lows, they're going to be in good shape. A loss of one of those levels is going to be one of the first indications that we're going to see more downside to come, and look for the price to test this theoretical support level at 339. Going back to the hourly time frame now, we can see this tightening range coming into a little bit more effect. And in fact, we can start playing with drawing trend lines, which is a nice artistic side to technical analysis, not just looking at price action, but looking for former areas of resistance to develop a nice sloping line that we can use for trading and for early signals. So what I'm looking for in this time frame, if I'm going to be playing bullish, is I'm going to look for bulls to hold 381. I want to keep seeing 4-hour higher lows. Then I want to get over top of this trend line. Not only do I want to get over top of that trend line, I also want to break my hourly downtrend, which is currently seeing lower highs and higher lows. So that tightening range in effect, I'd like us to break let's just grab this number, 422. So ultimately what we're looking for is a 4-hour higher low, a break over trend, and either a break of 422, or if should this become the new level, 412. So that will have that price over that level, both breaking our overall sloping downtrend resistance line and changing the hourly trend inside an hourly and 4-hour tightening range, which has a lot of potential for upside moves. Our first major resistance on that on the daily time frame is going to be 494. Should that fail to pass and we see a consistent rejection from this overall trend line, we break 381 and 374, we're going to be looking way down here for our support levels. And again, that's not showing up on the hourly time frame. Let's go grab that level. Where was that? 339. Let's go back to the hourly. 339 is going to be right around there. So that's what we're looking for. Two possible outcomes. Technical analysis, we want to be prepared for every possible scenario. All about this tightening range. Look for a continued rejection at this sloping trend line. Look for higher lows in the 4-hour time frame. One of these walls is going to break, and that break is going to be what is most likely the key indicator for the direction of price. We're going to start all of this process over again, looking at NAT. NAT on the weekly time frame. Looks like we built a very, very strong basis support in this area. We have a head and shoulders attempt, which has completely negated and gone to the upside. So we're going to be looking for upside continuation. This is a stronger weekly candlestick. And what I'm going to do is try to determine where my most likely area of resistance is going to be. Right now, we have a little titch from way back here at 584. We didn't break over top of that far enough for me to be considering it a conclusive break. 584 is the previous resistance level. Our high is 588. We didn't manage to stay above it. We'll check out what we did in pre-market as we get to the 4-hour time frames. But that's a pretty sound rejection for me. I'm going to be looking for a zone of resistance at that level. And if bulls can get over that level, we don't have any resistance until the next leg up, right at the high of 670 on this candlestick here. So on the weekly time frame, holding weekly higher lows, looking for consolidation, we need to establish a weekly higher low, something over 230, and we got a lot of room to do that in. On the daily time frame, here's that sort of move, a move to the upside. We establish a base of support, 4-hour tightening range, a false breakout, bulls buy this dip, push the price up, and now we're seeing this hype storm come into effect, increasing volume right up against this resistance 584. And today's price had a very, very strong attempt. We see a strong open, we see a push by the bulls, an outright rejection, but we are still seeing daily higher lows. That's what counts right now. Once we lose these daily higher lows, so the very lowest point on each candlestick, which we've maintained for quite a while, looks like since April 15th, we're going to look for daily consolidation because we've not established a daily higher low for quite a while. A daily higher low would have us looking for something like this, and who knows, maybe more upside continuation after. We'll see what happens as that develops. Right now, it's all about 584, and today's actual high, 588, so we have a very, very clear zone of resistance that bulls need to get over top of. What's the story in these candlesticks? Let's take a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour time frame showing us a basis of support established, so we have our first push to the downside, 491. We hold support again, push to the upside, establish a higher low. Now we need to keep doing this. This is the key for upside continuation. And why is it the key for upside continuation? Because it allows our RSIs to cool off. Our RSIs they're an indicator that can tell us when you're paying too much for something and when you're going to be running out of steam. We can see a strong move to the upside. We see a candlestick here as a shooting star, which indicates downside potential, indecision, a little bit of chop chop, indecision, chop chop, holding a base of support, always good for the bulls. But as we see that happening, we can see this declining RSI. So that is good. Sideways consolidation, a little bit, a titch of bearish divergence. We'll see if that follows through. Is it bear divergence, or are we just seeing a little bit of consolidation that we know we need? Ultimately, it comes down to, do we lose our key levels? We can go sideways, and RSI can go right to 50 and keep a straight sideways trend. We have to watch these key levels. 522 is a key 4-hour higher low. And on the hourly time frame, we have lost the hourly uptrend. So now this is how all of these things come together. Let's go back to the 4-hour. 4-hour uptrend is going well. So really, we're establishing this sort of pattern. It's not going to look that eloquent. But on the hourly time frame, we've got a trend that's counter to that uptrend. We go to the hourly, we can see it looks a little bit different. Here's our high, our low, lower high, lower low, lower high, which is what we just established here. Now we need to determine, are we going to see a higher low over 522 into a tightening range, and then maybe a break on the hourly time frame? That would let us change this hourly course. It would allow our 4-hour time frame to cool off. It would allow a 4-hour higher low to be established, and it would give the bulls ample opportunity to cool off that RSI level and allow them to continue the upside into our next projected resistance. However, we also know on the daily, if we lose 522, we're looking at daily consolidation. So it's all eyes on this hourly trend. And can the 4-hour bulls establish that higher low and look for that upside potential? So every time we're doing an analysis on charts, we're looking for small bits and pieces to give us clues as to what the most likely possible outcome is. None of this is crystal ball magic. I've got no idea what the markets are going to do, but I do know what the most likely signs are if we're going to see a breakdown, if we're going to see downside consolidation on the daily, or if the bulls are going to hold things together. Moving to FRO on the weekly time frame. Well, there's a sideways chart if I've ever seen one. Well, in context to the highs of 322, 2009 was not kind to this ticker and has gone sideways for a little bit of quite a while. We had a very, very strong monthly uptrend, a weekly uptrend. We lost a lot of that in recent instability, and we can see that for the past 3 weeks, we've been seeing some upside potential. Right now, bulls are in an area with relatively little in the way of weekly resistance. Our next resistance on the weekly time frame is 1338. Bulls are in a good position to continue to the upside as long as they can maintain these weekly higher lows. On the daily time frame, we've lost our daily higher lows, so now we are looking for that daily consolidation. Here's our low, 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 low. We lose it. Now we're going to be looking for a sub time frame downtrend, which means our daily uptrend is still strong. Our last daily higher low was from this bearish attempt, which is relatively weak, all things considered, 836. Now the bulls need to defend that level by establishing a higher low and allowing that trend to continue. So we see some weakness right now where there shouldn't be any if the bulls are in a good position, higher low, and so on. And I'm going to draw this in so you can see some continuity for what I'm trying to show you. See how this wave sort of works, roughly fits inside these lines. That's the sort of action that I'm looking for. I got no idea where the candles are actually going to go, but if they're going to continue what they are doing, which we need to assume that they are going to do until they give us a different story, that's what it's going to look like. So FRO is looking for a daily higher low over 836. Right now, seeing some bearish pressure, bulls buying the dip up, holding EMA 26. On the 4-hour time frame, we are seeing a relatively weak 4-hour downtrend with our lower lows all around. Still looking for that daily consolidation. That's exactly what this looks like. On the hourly time frame, we are seeing lower highs, lower lows. This is a pretty good area for a rejection from the EMA 12. And if we see a move back down, all we need to do is hold $9.80. If we hold $9.80, have that 4-hour higher low, that's that daily higher low locking into place, and we look back at that uptrend. So right now, my key levels for FRO are going to be holding a higher low over 980 on the hourly, 4-hour, and daily time frame, and looking for a hourly trend change to indicate that that 4-hour and that daily consolidation is over. Right now, I'd like to see bulls break 1122. More likely, they're going to set a higher low in the hourly and develop a new trend, in which case I'm going to look for whatever that new lower high becomes. Right now, that high is 1066. All right, we're running out of steam here, talking too much. How long is this video? Oh, it's not so bad. 13 minutes. TA works your brain, does it not? All right, TNP on the weekly time frame, not as strong of a trend, and in fact, still seeing a overall downtrend going back many years. We have broken our weekly resistance level, and we're in an area with relatively little weekly resistance. We do have a lot of daily here, can see this tightening range. 466 is the key level, as well as our current week's candlestick high, 381. We have established daily higher lows, and our weekly higher low support, or our weekly low support, is down at 170. On the daily time frame, we have a relatively good uptrend. We saw some sideways chop, and now we are trying to continue the upside. Let's move our resistance line to the correct level, 381. So in this case, we have an overall daily show of strength. We've tried to establish a bottom here, and things are looking okay. I am concerned about the multiple rejections from that area at 338, but again, as long as we maintain these daily higher lows, we're going to be in a good position. Once we lose them, we're looking for daily consolidation. On the 4-hour time frame, we've got a little bit of a tightening range, not giving us a nice equilibrium, but as long as we hold 315, we're going to be in good shape, and a 4-hour resistance at 372. On the hourly time frame, it looks even uglier, but we do have an hourly uptrend, so we're going to be looking for a hold of today's low, 325. We want to break 372 for upside hourly continuation, and then we'll hit that resistance again at 398. Hopefully you're getting the idea. If you've never seen technical analysis before, or I guess everyone has their own form of analysis, we like these trends, we like this price action, and we look for changes in trends to try and dictate the most likely outcomes. I think I've drilled that in a little bit. SFL is really representative of the general market overall. In fact, it looks very, very different than the tickers we've been looking at so far. On the daily time frame, if you flash this to me, I would say, you know what, this is a ticker that's just responding primarily to what the market is doing. We saw some weakness before the market did, but we did see a pretty fantastic drop here to dump lows. And on the daily time frame, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the price action that we are seeing in this area, because that's going to be the most important. Why? Because it is following the dump and it is establishing a new area of consolidation. In technical analysis, we have two periods. We have price discovery, which no one has any idea what's happening. It's just chaos, and it's people scrambling, buying and selling, freaking out, FOMOing, you name it. It's emotional and overreactive and high volume trading. The other side of the coin is we get periods of consolidation where the eye of the storm happens, or I guess the seas calm a little bit, and we get into these trending price action developments. And that's what we like to see. That's another way we make money outside of crazy momentum hype storms. And I vastly prefer trading inside these trends. So what are we looking at on SFL? We are looking at an overall daily uptrend. In the short term, we have a good base of support to look for, and a hold above 978 is going to give us that level. Let's turn these magnets on, make sure we're using the right thing here. 976 is the key level. Bulls have set a new high, and we do have a little bit of resistance to look at 1097. So we're going to look at $11 psychological and 1097. I know it's only a 3-cent spread, but psychological levels are always going to be important for us. Today's candlestick is pretty indecisive, showing an upper and lower wick, which means there's a pitch battle. Of course, Bulls overall won the day. The price is following the trend to the upside. We set a new high. Now, the most likely outcome is going to be a new higher low on the daily, given this tight range. And the reason we decide that is we look at the overall range that we've established on this ticker. I'm happy with that one. We've got a touch here, touch here, touch here, and today's high day. I just go and grab that guy, pull it down, see what the range looks like. This seems pretty acceptable. Now, if I'm a bull and my goal is to hit that level and I want to reload later, I'm going to wait and see if the price comes back down. So that upper wick showing that little bit of a push during today's trading, pushing the price back down. I would say on the daily time frame, the most likely move would be a move back down into the high 990s, low 990s, something around $9.90. I don't know. Wrong words. And look for that. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that same sort of action coming into place. We broke over the 4-hour resistance, quick push, and we can see that we are doing nicely here. Still looking for a new lower high, and as long as bulls can stay over top of, what is this level? Hold on, we'll get it. We'll use horizontal. Against 997, the wrong number again, 979, we're going to be in a good 4-hour uptrend. So a lot on the plate here for SFL. Again, tracking the general market a lot more closely than the other names. On the hourly time frame, we have lost hourly higher lows, looking for consolidation. Now we have maybe set an hourly higher low here at 1021. If we get a lower high underneath our 1071 level, which is going to be this guy. Do need a new mouse. We're going to look for a lower high and then maybe a drop. If we lose at 1021, what do we got? We got that 4-hour daily consolidation right in the right place, exactly where we want to see it, inside this channel. And then we would look for a scoop, see if we can't get ourselves a nice little daily swing somewhere around 993. Anyway, lots to talk about. We'll see how this plays out. I'll cover it again tomorrow, and we will see how how much fun we can have with this stuff. If you want to learn more about technical analysis, come check out ChartGuys.com. We love this stuff. We got a great community of great people, and I encourage you to learn as much as you can about technical analysis anywhere and everywhere.